Hey, everybody out there in Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube world. Super excited to have you here for our Friday fun. And we do have a extra special guest, Harper, who is joining us today. She does not look very happy. She doesn't usually come into the office. She's like, yeah, whatever. But she's going to hang out with us because I was like telling her all about our super special guest today, Beth Ruck. And she's like, I want to be a part. Okay, she didn't actually say that because she's a dog, but she's like, I want to be a part of our conversation today. So I'm super excited to be here introducing our human guest that's joining us, Beth. Welcome, Beth.
Good morning. Good to see you, Tiffany. Good to
Good
be here.
morning. So, where in the world are you joining us from?
I live in Cookeville, Tennessee, which is about an hour east of Nashville, and I've been there for 2 years. So it's been a new place to explore and have fun in. So.
Nice. And it's interesting because there's probably not a lot of people that have heard of Cooksville, Tennessee. But when you were like, I'm moving to Cooksville, Tennessee, I'm like, wait, Cooksville and Crossville, Tennessee, that's right in between Fairfield Glades in the middle, right? Because
Yes.
as a kid, we actually vacationed almost every year. We were living in North Carolina. My aunt would come from Arkansas, and the families would meet at Fairfield Glade there in Cooksville, Crossville, Tennessee.
Yep. Yep.
And then a friend of mine from my country club days actually ended up managing it. Last I checked, they may or may not still be doing it. So I'm like, I like that Tennessee connection.
Yeah, that's
So,
fun.
what's your favorite fun thing to do there in Cooksville, Crossville, Tennessee?
I like going to there's a lot of state parks around. So there's one that's really close to me that's called Burgess Falls State Park. And it's just fun to walk there and go up this hill and see the huge waterfall coming down. And then there's a fun little restaurant not too far from there that my husband and I like to go eat at. And we tell everybody about, like, come and eat at this restaurant. It's really fun. So
What about the restaurant makes it fun?
yeah, they repurposed an old barn and
Hmm.
kept it rustic inside, and they have really great food. So
Great food is always a bonus because
that's
sometimes
for
the
sure.
fun places, the food's not so great. So it's always good when you have one that has both.
Yes,
So, Beth, we're here. Now, your website, conqueringclutter.net.
correct.
What is it that you do? Tell us a little bit about how you conquer clutter.
Okay, so I want to just talk a little bit about why I do what I do quickly. So, as a kid, I was kind of a nervous kid and worried a lot. And I remember one particular year, it really kind of came to a head. I was in third grade, so I was like 9 years old. And the teacher I had just made me feel uncomfortable and nervous and worried. And we had to do this big science project. And you were supposed to use a scale. And I thought, I can do that. We have a bathroom scale at home. Well, that's not the type of scale they had. I was afraid to ask my teacher or for a different project. And I thought, oh, she won't give me one. And so I procrastinated. I got a terrible grade on it. My dad helped me out at the last minute, but my mom was kind of like, well, why didn't you do this? And you should have done this. And you should have asked this person that. And it just made me feel terrible. And like, I just didn't like third grade at all. I'd be sick to my stomach every time I had to go to school.
Oh,
So a lot of people that deal with clutter and things have anxiety, they have worry, they feel bad about what their environment looks like. And I want them to not feel that way. So I help them. We go in, and I'm just like, tell me about your life real briefly. Like, why do you think it's like this? Did something happen? Maybe someone died. Maybe they had an illness. Maybe they had 3 babies in 5 years. Like, it's just been crazy. And their life, they're like, I used to be so organized and now I can't do anything. And so I'm just like, it's okay. I'm coming in. We're going to get progress done here. and we're going to do it in a way that fits your style. I'm not going to come in and say, you should do this and you should do that. And my way is the only way. I'm going to find out, how do you think? Do you need to see things out? Or is it okay if they're behind a door? Because if that really matters to people. So that's why I do what I do. I just want to help people feel calm in their environment.
That's awesome. I so appreciate you sharing because, when I think about, okay, let me clean up and not have clutter, I don't know that I really thought about the fact that, anxiety making a play and that we would be ashamed of it, though it totally makes sense now that you bring it up. What do you feel is like one of the reasons that people are hesitant to reach out to ask for help? And I ask this from an interesting perspective because, like, I remember my mother-in-law. Oops, sorry, Jackie, if you're watching this, I'm totally telling on you. Because she was like, she had a lot in her closet, so like we're gonna go clean up the closet, and so we spent a couple hours, and like I've watched a few shows, and it was just I'm go-getter. And so I was very much like, yes, no, let's go. Very quick about it. What do you find hampers a lot of people from asking for help, or like, how do they even get in this situation? Because I'll be honest, there are spots in my house that still need some help with decluttering. I'm working on it. My goal is to be like half a minimalist. Not quite there yet.
Well, sometimes it's people just have a hard time making decisions, or they don't want to deal with the decision. They're like, I don't want to deal with that right now. So they just leave it be. And then all of a sudden they look at it one day and they're like, oh, my closet is crammed full of stuff, or I have this big pile of stuff in this corner and I still don't want to deal with it, but maybe I'm having guests over, or I really do need to get rid of this, but I'm afraid, like I'm embarrassed to have family come over, or I'm embarrassed to ask a friend because they're going to judge me and what they see. And I'm just like, when I talk to people for the first time, when they put in a like plan your project form on my website, and I call them up and I'm like, tell me a little bit about you. And then I'll be like, okay, I just want to let you know, this is how I operate. I am not going to judge you on what your house looks like. I'm here to help you. I want to help you. I want to make you feel better. And we'll start small, because if someone was like, my whole house is a mess, what am I going to do? I've started it a million times and it's just never gotten, then I get, rabbit trailed, or they might have ADHD. And so they get, they start in one room and then they go put something away in another room, and then they do something in that room, and then it's
all the time.
Yeah. So I bring focus to people. I've come up with some fun games for people to use when they are like trying to decide. I've come up with a shopping game. So I'm like, let's pretend your house is a store, which actually, with closets and everything, that is storage. So if we go to the store of your closet to look at all your clothes, it's like you look at everything and you're like, would I buy these pants again? Well, then why is it taking up room in your store? Like,
but wait. What if they still have the tags on them?
Well,
literally, it's like the store, because here it is with the tags on them. I spent $300. I have never spent $300 on a pair of pants. Sorry, y'all. Like I buy my White House Black Market jeans that are like $90, which is expensive in my mind, which we can debate that a different day.
Right.
But if somebody's like, but I spent this money for it, it's in my closet and it was $200, $300.
The thing is, the money's already spent. So you could possibly recoup some of the costs by trying to resell it, like at a consignment shop or Facebook Marketplace. But if you've never worn it and it's been hanging there for 5 years, it's going to be there longer and probably go out of style, and then nobody will want it. So it's I kind of look at it like I ask the question, do you love it, use it, or need it? And if you don't say yes to that, then why is it taking up room in your house? And then people sometimes feel like regret, like shopping regret, I guess you'd say, because they're like, oh, I shouldn't have spent the money on that, or I shouldn't have done that. So I've found a resource that asks different questions. So I'll say, if you are a person that likes to shop, here are like 6 questions to ask yourself before you buy it. You know, so I might not remember all 6 right now, but some of them are
There's
like
a couple of them, and y'all, as you're watching this, so she's not going to give us all of them. I'm sure she would remember them if we gave her time. However, I want you to reach out. I'm going to ask her to give us 2 or 3 of them. But if you go to conqueringclutter.net, you have a form there that people can fill out and get in touch with you.
Yes. So they can either sign up for my newsletter or sign up for like a plan your project. And I work in person, but I also do virtual. So anywhere in the lower 48, I can work with somebody. And we just do a conversation like this and talk through things. So mostly I've done that with closets because that's, a smaller thing to do. But so anyway,
So give us those tips. Those questions to ask?
Okay. So one is, what's the worst thing that will happen if I don't buy it today? Where am I going to put it? Like if your closet's already full and we're talking about clothes, where are you going to put it? Because there's no room in your closet. And then a third one would be, can I really afford to buy it? So those are 3 of the 6 that I can remember. So.
I really like that first one of what happens if I don't get it today.
Right.
What are some different things that people might think of when they're looking at, I want to buy this? Maybe let's say I'm looking and I found another little Grogu thing that I wanted to purchase because I don't have enough Grogu in my office. Like here's this statue, there's 6 on the desk here, there's the rug, there's the doll, there's the little artwork. So I see this baby Grogu that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I want this. Kind of talk me through how I would look at, what happens if I don't buy this.
So I guess I would say, thinking of the ones you already have, are there ones that I'm like, I like it, but it's really not my favorite? Like, like, let's say you're like, I don't really like this rug. Like, I thought at the time it was cute, but, I don't really like this rug. So, if I bring a new one in, I could get rid of one. So some people have that with things. It's if they bring in one new thing, 2 things have to leave.
Oh.
Just because we always have more than enough stuff usually in our houses. So those would be some questions I would think about, and also like, well, am I going to be back? Like, could I come back to this place and find this thing within, easily? Or if you're on vacation and you see it, it'd be like, okay, do I have room in my suitcase for it to bring it home? And what would I use that money for if I didn't buy this? Like, am I saving for something bigger? Because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't ever go on vacation, or I don't ever, I need a new car. But they're the type of people that are out buying things that they probably really don't need. And if they would take the money and put it towards the big thing they wanted, it's like delayed gratification, I guess you'd say. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So Harper says, we've talked enough about business. She's like, I've had enough about business. Can we talk about fun?
Yes.
I tried to tell her that we were talking about the fun way of doing shopping. Harper, shopping's fun. Yeah, she's not one of the ones that enjoys shopping. So when you're not helping people really, and let me just share, I mean, when you're helping people, like, I get that what you do is declutter for them and you help
Sure.
them with the space, but what's the end result that they're left with?
Well, it's having things that they really want in their space. I've had many people say it's like a weight has been lifted off their shoulders, because they may be holding on to things that someone left at their house. And I was working with one lady recently, and she had a whole bunch of stuff in her garage that had been in her attic at her former house. And that was stuff from a family member that she had no connection with anymore. And she's like, I just need to get it out of my garage and out of my life. And she thought at first it would be really hard to do. But when we worked together, she's like, I feel like a weight's lifted off my shoulder. I feel freedom because it's out of my life now. And I can use my garage for the purpose, which is putting a car in it.
Wait. Garages? You're supposed to put your car in your garage?
Yes.
How many people do you work on that have that issue of, I have a garage with no cars in them, and please, Beth, help me get the car in the garage?
Yes, I have worked with a handful of people with that, and worked with one gentleman. They'd been in their house 10 years.
Oof.
They had a 3-car garage. They could not get one car. They only had one car. They couldn't get in there. So that was our goal, was to clean out enough of the garage so they could get a car in there. So we worked about 4 times, and we actually had to start with the storage closet in the garage first and clean that out, because there were things that they didn't need in the storage closet. And then there were things in the garage that could move into the storage closet. So sometimes when I work with people, I'm like, they think they want to work here, but I'm like, actually, I think we need to start here so we can work there. So yeah.
I could see, like, at my house, hey, we need to clean out the pantry before we clean out the cabinets. I have this brilliant walk-in, Guinness is chiming in there. I have this brilliant walk-in pantry that's gorgeous. And so when we were actually doing kitchen remodels, we took down 3 sets of cabinets, and it's like, somebody was like, what about the storage space? I'm like, but I have a walk-in pantry that's got like massive amount of shelves. Hopefully they'll like the open concept more.
Mm-hmm.
Find it sometimes, often people come to you with, here's the issue, but it's really something else that's driving it.
It could be, yeah. It's not, they're like, I don't feel comfortable in this space, or I want less whatever. And I'm like, well, maybe we need to start, like, people will, if they have stairs, a lot of times they put things on their stairs. And I'm like, okay, that needs to stop. They
put stuff on the stairs themselves.
Yeah. They're like, because they think they're going to bring it upstairs, but that never gets up there. And I'm like, okay, that has to stop, because that's a safety hazard. Like, you can have a box there of things, or a basket, and then it's like, put it in the basket, and then the next time you go upstairs, bring it upstairs. My mom was like that all the time. We had a basement growing up, and she was like, if you go downstairs or go upstairs, you have to bring something down or up every time. Like, that was her rule, because she didn't want us to waste like trips, steps. So we had to do that. So yeah, and sometimes it's like they don't know what they need. Like, I had one person, I did their whole house, and we started in the kitchen in one corner because she really wasn't sure where to start. And I'm just like, we just need to start somewhere. So how about we start here? And I would tell people too, if you're going to start with decluttering and organizing, is start with something you're not super emotionally attached to. So most people aren't like super attached to dishes. So that could be a good place to start.
All right, so we want to pick. So dishes is one thing most people aren't attached to, because I'm like thinking, oh yeah, I guess there is a lot of stuff. So dishes is a good one that we're not attached to. What else?
Probably maybe books, because I mean, they're like, I love books and I have plenty of books, but over the years, I've been like, okay, let's be realistic. I have this book, I enjoyed it, but am I really going to read it again? And I'm like, no, I didn't, like it. Or I think I have a little video somewhere about 5 things you can get rid of easily. And one is like books you kept from high school. Like, you read novels from high school and you're like, okay, this was really a depressing book. Like, am I going to really read Grapes of Wrath again? Probably not. And if I really wanted to read it again, I can easily find it at the library or a used bookstore. So why have it in my house, So
It's a really good point. I actually I bought this house because it has a bookshelf room. So it's probably like a 20 by 14 room that the two 14 feet, maybe 10 feet. I don't know. I haven't measured it. The two 10 feet walls and the 20-foot wall. So it's 3 of the 4 walls that were bookshelves. So it's like wall to wall. That's why we call it the bookshelf room. And we're like tearing it down, tearing it out, making it into something different. And so I had these massive bookshelves that I had to go through. And when I moved here, I had stuff on every single one. I managed from that entire room, I've got 4 boxes. I was like, just get rid of. And it was hard because I'm an avid reader, but I'm like, am I ever going to read this series again? Am I ever going to read this series again? Though I will say the other day I was thinking like I got rid of all of my Anne Rice books, and AMC is doing like an Anne Rice thing, and they're doing it. And I'm like, I wonder if I'm like, wait, I can go to the library and get these books if I don't want them. Like I did keep all my Stephen King books. And my favorite business books, but I'm like, I only kept 4 boxes out of this massive room, but there were a few things that was hard. Like I ended up like, I put stuff that I was going to keep and stuff that I wasn't sure about. I set to the side, and I'm like, I'm going to give it a week and then decide whether to put it in.
Yeah, that's a great.
Do you have any tips for us if we're trying to declutter? I mean, tip number 1, call Beth, because it's so much easier when you do it with a professional. And I totally get, because you're objective versus we have these emotional ties.
Right. And so a couple tips is, or I guess one thing I like to, when I'm talking to people, I might see something that I'm like, why do they have this? Like, why is this here? But I've learned to say, tell me about this item, because it might mean something. So I had this client, she had a little picture, and it was in the shape of a rat, and the tail was the handle. Ew. And I was like, this in my head, I'm going, this is so ugly. Like, why does she have it on this shelf? So I was like, tell me about why you have this. So she said, my mother was a nurse, and she used to travel. She was a traveling country nurse and would like go, they lived in like a small town area, and she would go out into the country and help nurse various people, and they couldn't always pay her. So one of her clients gave her this picture, and I said, okay, that's interesting. So I got out a note card and I wrote down the story, and I stuck it inside the picture, because I was like, her kids maybe know the story, or maybe they don't know the story. I don't know. But here's the story about why their mom kept this thing for a long time. Yeah. So I'll do that with people. I'll be like, tell me why you have this. And they'll be like, because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, and I can't get rid of it. And I'm like, as long as you have some place to store it, you can have it, and if it means that much to you, think of a way to display it. Like, you might as well enjoy it if it brings you joy. But then we write down the little a little story about it. And then when they die, their family can look at it and go, hey, that's a cool story, or I don't care. But at least, they've passed on a story and a legacy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel, it's an interesting thing. I think in previous generations, it was we kept these things and passed them down, whether it's the china or the crystal or the silver or the furniture. The younger generation, it doesn't seem as interested. Do you have any thoughts on, like, if we're thinking about I'm keeping this for the future generations, considerations to have?
Well, I would talk to people and I'll be like, you don't want people to be fighting about your stuff when you die because it's just not a good idea. So I'll be like, hey, do you have a will? That's the first step. And then
so probably just y'all, if you know estate planning attorneys, would that be a good introduction for you, Beth? Because like when they're making their will, Beth can help them go through that stuff free.
Yes.
So introduce Beth to some estate planning attorneys. She can work virtual. All right. Sorry.
That's fine. So if I'm working with someone and they're trying to make decisions about what they're keeping, because maybe they're downsizing and have to move to a smaller place, I'll be like, well, this isn't going to fit in your new place. So what do you think you're going to do with it? And I'll say, well, do you have a family member or friend that you think would like it?
Mm.
And then they might be like, well, I think so-and-so might want this or so-and-so might want that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's write that down somewhere, like whatever it is and the person's name. I'm like, then ask them. Say, I'm downsizing. I'm going to have to move. And I thought you might enjoy having this thing. And the person can either say, yeah, that would be great. I would love to have that. Or they can go, thank you for thinking of me, but it really doesn't fit in with my whatever.
Yeah.
And then I have told people who have inherited things that they wish they didn't have. I'm like, it's yours now.
Mm.
You can do whatever you want with it. So if you really don't want it, you could ask your kids, maybe they want it. Or you could ask a sibling or something like, hey, so-and-so gave me this and I don't really want it. Do you want it? And do it that way. And then I'll be like, and if you don't want it, you can gift somebody else, like bring things to Habitat Restore and someone will buy it that wants it. And it'll have a new life and bring new memories to a new person. And by doing that, you're giving a gift to other people and to your family because they don't have to deal with it. So it's hard. I mean, when my mom was moving out of her house that she'd lived in for 54 years, and we moved her to a senior apartment, and we had gone through, and my two siblings and I talked about like what she didn't want and if we wanted any of it, and we friendly agreed about it. We didn't fight about it, and we're like, yes, I would like this. Do you want it? Things like that. And then when it was time to her to move out, she was like, well, do you want this? And do you want this? And do you want that? And I'm like, Mom, did you buy it at a garage sale? Or is this something that was in the family and passed down? And if she'd be like, oh, I got it at a garage sale, and then I don't have any room for it. I don't like it. I've taken pretty much what I wanted, what I was interested in. So I don't need it. And she would be like, oh, well, what? It's, whatever. It's so nice. And like someone else will enjoy it. It's just not going to stay in our family. It's going to be okay. So
how does decluttering your space help you have more fun?
Well, because if you have decluttered your space, you know where stuff is.
Mm.
And you're not looking for your car keys. You're not looking for whatever because you know where it is and your space isn't so stuffed full of things. Because there are people that they have so much stuff and they're like, I know it's somewhere, but I can't find it. And they go buy it again.
Oh.
And so they've got, if I've gone through things with people and I'm like, all right, you've got like 5 pancake turner spatulas. Like, what are we going to do with this? Like, do you need that many? And they're like, no. And I'm like, this one is like kind of melted. Do you think we can throw it away? So it saves them time because they know where their stuff is. And also they're not emotionally like bogged down with the feeling of having all this stuff. So I like to tell people if they meet me for the first time and say, what do you do? I say, I help people have more time so they can have more fun with their family and do things with their family that they love. So
I love that. Americans definitely are all about the possessions. And so it's such a nice thing of like letting it go, having what you need, and being able to find the things. Like the other day, I needed a light bulb, and I'm like, it's in one of 2 places because it was in a place and now it's in a new place. But I'm like, I didn't have to spend hours searching because it has its home. So I love the fact that you help people just have that time and that freedom so we can do the fun stuff.
yeah.
So if y'all need some help getting your house, your cabinets, your closet, even the junk drawer, you can just start there if you want. Go to conqueringclutter.net and you can fill out the form to help create the plan of what you're looking for. Now, Beth, because it's Friday, we like to talk a little bit about fun. And I know you help people create fun when you help them conquer clutter. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter, so I usually pick her up 3 or 4 days a week from daycare, and we get to hang out, and we go visit the neighbor lady, or we play Play-Doh, or we read stories. We just hang out and have a good time, and so I like to do that. In the background, you may have heard my dog barking, so I take my dog for walks. Let her run around the not the neighborhood.
So what's your dog's name and what kind of dog is it?
My dog is Lena, and she's a mutt. She's a 40-pound muscular mutt that our friends found in the woods in Michigan, like almost 5 years ago. So
wait, your dog was found in the woods?
Yes.
My dogs were found in the woods.
Yeah.
Now, was the person that found them a BNI member as well? Because I know you've been part of BNI. Mine was a BNI person. Was yours?
Mine was just a good friend of mine that I met. In fact, we called each other sisters because people thought we looked like sisters. So we made up a whole story about how we were separated at birth and we became sisters. But anyway, and I love to read and I like to sing. So I make up songs in my BNI group. I will put my weekly presentation to music sometimes a couple times a year. So I did one about summer a month or 2 ago. So that's what I like to do. What do you like to do for fun, Tiffanie?
So I'm with you on the reading aspect. It's funny. I've had a conversation with my husband before. He's like, reading's not fun. And I'm like, look, just because you don't like to read doesn't mean that it's not fun for us. So I'm going to be like, hey, Rob, Beth and we think reading is fun. So I'm usually reading 3 or 4 nonfiction books for book club. And I just started reading Murtaugh, which is from the Aragon series from like 10 or 20 years ago, dragons and stuff. So that's my fiction that I'm reading right now. And like you, walking your dog, I love playing with Guinness and Harper.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yes, they are. So y'all, we've been having a ton of fun here this Friday. I would love to keep going. However, that's not how this show works. We usually go for about 30 minutes and we're at 35 because we're having that much fun. But here's the thing. I know when I wake up in the morning, my house is clean. when I can easily find what I'm looking for. When I open the closet door and things don't follow me, I just feel better. I realized, I don't know, a couple of years ago, like I love hotel because it's clean. You don't have stuff everywhere. And so I've tried to recreate that within my home. I'm working on it, y'all. I don't have anything on my vanity at all. Like everything's in the drawers or underneath. It's like so nice. It's just like, so if you're looking for that of like, how do you recreate just the ease of being in your space, you should go to Beth's website, conqueringclutter.net, and reach out to her, and she can help you virtually, whether it's, let's start with the junk drawer or the closet or the garage, which might be other stuff. She can help you really love the space you're in and save time by not having to struggle to find stuff. And then you get to have more fun. Any last words you want to share with our viewing audience, Beth?
So I've heard this quote. It's love people and use things. So I want you to go take care of your stuff so you can go love on the people and do what you love and have fun.
Love it. Thank you so much, Beth, for being here with us today. Y'all, remember, every Tuesday we have our More Abundant Entrepreneur community events, 2:33 to 3:55. Check it out. Go to moreabundantentrepreneurs.com/events. Enroll, join us. Beth is there many Tuesdays with us, so we would love to see you. Beth, thank you so much for your time, and y'all check out conqueringclutter.net. She's got a great page there with all kinds of articles and tips so that you can conquer your clutter, have more time, and have more fun.